I'm delighted to be joined by New York GAA goalkeeper Mick Cunningham. How's things, Mick? Congratulations.
Yeah, things are good actually. Yeah, and it's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, so thanks for having me on.
Yeah, New York, they made history winning their first ever Connacht Championship game. I suppose, has it all sunk in at this point?
It was pretty surreal at the time, but yeah, we've obviously got this game next week, so like we can't really dwell on it too much. But yeah, no, it was a thing that a lot of people in New York were kind of looking for a lot of years, and they had a few close shaves in that. Um, but I don't think it'll sink in for, I don't know, a few weeks yet. Anyway, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Like the scenes in Gaelic Park we were just watching on the TV at home. Would have loved to have been there, but it just looked incredible. What was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, no, I was like, it was unreal in the sense it was like a Saturday evening, and the crowd's pretty tight to the pitch too, so that all helps. The atmosphere was class, but yeah, like and maybe the end-to-end nature of the game, it wouldn't have been a great game for anyone that supported one of the teams, you know what I mean, for the heart, if you get me. But for the neutral, it would have been unbelievable just because, yeah, it was just end to end from start to finish. And the fact it was kind of under lights on that Saturday evening then kind of added to it. And then there was a lot of people there, like there was maybe the most I've ever seen in Gaelic Park, like people on the hill behind the four goals and all. It was pretty mad. But yeah, like the scenes after were unbelievable. Like, just people hugging you and like grown men like getting caught up about it and all. It was unreal. Like,
Yeah, you could really see what it means to the GA, to the people of New York GA who for years have wanted to get this first win, and finally it happens. And I think that was what was evident when you see, I suppose, grown men crying. Joan Henchy, who's put so much work into all of this, finally getting to see this win after so many years.
oh yeah, like I'd say like maybe a difference from home is like New York is a real big GA community in the sense of like obviously there's GA communities at home everywhere if you get me, but like here it goes across teams as well. So like obviously we have a draft system so people can play for multiple teams, but then like after games you would probably be, you could have a beer with the people you were literally just, cutting lumps out of 15 minutes before that, which doesn't really happen at home. And yeah, that was even evident after the game. Like people like boys that we play against are over, like they're enjoying it as much as we are, you know what I mean? And like again, yeah, there's a big community buzz. That's pretty unique to hear that I've found anyway. But another thing that like really why men were probably caught up about it is because, as you said, like the work people are doing around New York GAA. Like even the other night, we were training in Rockland, and like there's well over 100 kids just for one GAA club, like on the pitch before we get on. Like, and it's like this is mad enough that we're outside Ireland. You know what I mean? And then I know with Brooklyn, we had one training session there last year, and there's like a hurling blitz for like under eights and under tens on before it, and like there's like maybe 200 kids just playing hurling like in the middle of the Bronx, which is pretty surreal. Like if you try to explain that to people at home, but yeah, it happens here a lot. You know what I mean? Just because people are so passionate about the GAA.
It's incredible. Like there was 14 American-born players on the panel, if I'm right, and three of them started the game.
Yeah, yeah. I Jamie and the two Brosnans. Yeah, but like the
Hmm.
Mathers as well. There's a number of them, and yeah, there's other lads that are unbelievably technically really good. Like it is mad because of the amount of sports and kind of distractions they have here. Like for example, basketball and like American football, or et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, like the work that's being done is not wise. And like New York are always they're always right thereabouts with like the feel of teams. And then even like St. Barnabas is like an American born team in senior that won two out of the last three championships, and they're only beat by a point in last year's final as well. There is like there is so much work being done, and like again, like so much time invested from so many people into like just letting the GAA bear fruit here. I even have a personal story. Like I took a ladies team there a few years ago. I was just obviously asked to take one training session, and then you get roped into taking like the whole thing. But yeah, like even doing that, like it was kind of an insight into, I think we only had two Irish born girls playing, and like I mean, like I couldn't get my head around like the technical quality of the girls. It was mental. Like you go there, for example, the training session, and you're like, right, we'll do this drill, but kind of thinking, not knowing what to expect, and then they just rattle through the drill, no problem. Like technically, you know, couldn't ask for more. And then that just kept on, and then obviously you get more invested in it then because you realize like these girls are like right at it, like. And then yeah, but it was such an eye opener just because you're going to like the middle of Queens to take like a training session, and then the technical ability on show is just eye opening, you know.
Yeah, because it was always the way that they didn't grow up playing Gaelic football or hurling or camogie, but now they do. And for a lot of them, it can be their first sport, as you said, if they probably Irish parents as well, they're probably more
Yeah.
inclined to get into it. And what
Oh,
was the
100%.
team that you coached?
Yeah, Shannon Gales,
Oh,
ladies.
very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But even like I know I was talking to a fella and he was saying that like Shannon Gales under tens have like maybe six teams. Like that's boys. Like so there's that's like what 60 kids. Like
Mm.
it's mad. Like and that's just playing under tens. So it's yeah, that's only one team as well. Like there's obviously like other teams up in the Bronx. That's only one team in Queens. Like it is really, really popular now. Like and yeah, another great thing about it here is the community it gives you if you want in terms of like settling in, you know what I mean?
Mm.
So like
Big time.
if you join the GAA team, you automatically have like 30 lads that you can, socialize with and like just get to know and like answer questions about maybe your career or work or etc. etc. It's like it's unique in that sense that like people I know that don't play GAA that maybe move over maybe find it hard kind of settling in, whereas if you go over and you join a team, like as I say, automatically you're in a network there with like lads who've been there for
Yeah.
some of them years, and then some of them just know what it's like to just get set up by yourself.
Big time. Like when you head over there, I know when I went over, like they help with getting a job, accommodation, whatever it is. It's so nice to be able to ask and to know that they have your best interest, when you have a community like that. And it's so important. For you, Mick, when you first went over, what's your story, or when did you head over to New York first?
Yeah, so I moved. Me and my girlfriend moved. It's nearly 6 years ago now, which is nuts. But I was playing with Down, and I just graduated from Queens, like doing a master's in software engineering, and then there was a pretty unique opportunity in terms of getting a J1 work and travel visa for a year. So then I could have went to the States, obviously, and I could have went anywhere, but New York obviously was just I had a lot of curiosity about going there, and I just wanted to go there and work for 1 year. That was the initial plan, and then go back and live in Ireland. But came over here and worked for a year, and things went well, and I applied for another visa and I got it. And then it's kind of just snowballed from there. But I came over here, yeah, mainly for work because the motive was if I come here and work for a year, it'll look good, on my CV, for getting jobs maybe in Belfast or Dublin. But then once I was here, it's just a completely different way of life, and I just loved it to be honest. And then I was like, okay, I'll stay. If I may as well try and keep this going as long as possible if I'm enjoying it, and then yeah, then now I'm near here 6 years, which is crazy because it just flies.
And you got involved then with Brooklyn
Yeah,
Shamrocks, and then you have your own startup company as well.
yeah, yeah. So I worked for like over 3 years I worked for a construction company for 1 year, and then I worked in a investment bank for nearly 4 years, and then yeah, like this last year I've started my own company with two other like close friends. But yeah, like I came to Brooklyn Shamrocks. Tommy McConvey is their manager, like, and he's from our glass, which is like 20 minutes from me in at home. And yeah, like again, it was very different to home in terms of like, everybody's here to kind of better their life. So like Tommy understands that. He's actually got an unbelievable job himself. but like he understands if you're under pressure with work and stuff, and it's not as strict as home, but that's not to say that it's not as like competitive, if you know what I mean. But he's wild understandable, and then around everything, and then yeah, like been playing with them, which has been really enjoyable. We went from intermediate to senior, and then yeah, like just be working flat out now on my own startup.
Brilliant. Yeah, I know Tommy. I knew him when I was over there, and then I interviewed him a few times as well. But it's some rise for Brooklyn Shamrocks, like from where they were to the heights that they've gone is brilliant. And it's a lot of it down to Tommy as well. And he is a great manager.
Oh yeah, I know. Like last year, Sligo won the championship, but they beat us on penalties in the semi-final, which still hurts if I bring up the subject. But yeah, like we have a really good team. But the best thing about it is we're a really good bunch of lads. Like you know what I mean. And I know that sounds maybe cliche, but you know everybody in the team gets on with everybody else, and it's kind of get like that family atmosphere. I don't want to use all the cliches now, but like
I know what you
it's
mean, Mick. Don't worry.
yeah, like it's great crack, like, and that's
Mm.
it's really enjoyable, like you know what I mean, and that's probably the most important thing. But yeah, but we have a really good team too, and we'll have a really good team this year as well.
Hmm. And obviously, I'm sure they were all there the other night to watch you get the win.
Oh yeah,
I'll bring it back to the game just for a minute. A wild game. It was highly entertaining to watch anyway.
yeah.
Halftime, New York, they led by a point. So what was it like at halftime? Did you feel, obviously you're very much in it, but did you feel, yeah, we can do this? You even had opportunities in that first half as well to kick on.
Yeah. Um, I don't know, like in terms of team vibe, it was more like, yeah, we're in the game obviously, but it's more like, just stay in the play you're in, if you get me. Like don't be thinking too far ahead of what's gonna happen, like, in 10, 20 minutes, whatever. Just play the game play by play. I know that's the way I look at it anyway. Like there's no point in thinking about the end of the game when you're in the middle of the first half or whatever. So it's like, to answer your question, it was like at halftime, I was like, okay, regroup. Like, yeah, we're obviously in this game, like, but just keep doing what we're doing. Like, just stay present in the play you're in, and just keep trying to win that play, and then the result will take care of itself. You know what I mean? So there wasn't any real like fire and brimstone speech or anything. It's more just like, okay, like we kind of expected where we'd be, where we are. So it's like, just keep doing what we're doing, and try and grind it out.
A lot of
People
the
always
time it
people always feel like that's like anticlimactic when I say that kind of thing. It's like sounds better if it was like the any given Sunday speech and
is.
we went out and won.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
but
but even
yeah,
from the way you play, Mick, I wouldn't expect you to say that. Like you seem very not much phases you. I put up a tweet afterwards being like, nothing phased you. And Colin, my boyfriend, had played with you before, and he said he's very cool, calm, collected lad. That is how he is. So I didn't expect you, as you said, you play the next ball. You don't play 20 minutes ahead of yourself.
oh yeah,
That was pretty evident in your performance.
yeah. No, well, like I do like do a bit of mental work with that, and it's all about, especially being a goalkeeper. Like if you make a mistake, that could really well, in years gone by, that could annoy me, and then that's like hanging over you as the game goes on. Whereas like I just take it play by play. And another thing is like enjoy it. Like you don't train for months, and you don't like obviously now I've been playing like senior football for like nearly 15 years, like, and like you don't do all that to like go out and be like in a just an odd place mentally. So I just try and embrace it and enjoy it, because like these are the moments you want to be involved in, you know what I mean? And like it's more like an attitude of gratitude, as they say, like just a happy to be there, and you know what, like I'm gonna try my best, and that's like literally it.
And that's when you'll get the best performance out of yourself if you're in that mindset,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely, yeah. And
big
like
time.
yeah, and like it's such a weird kind of seesaw or tightrope or something, because like sport is so unpredictable, and like bad stuff can happen, but like that's just like life as well. Like bad stuff can happen to anyone. So it's just about just trying to stay in the moment, and I like and just trying I don't know, showcase your abilities, and just try and be competitive. Like it's again, people think that's anticlimactic, but it is what it is. You just want to be like playing it play by play, trying to enjoy yourself. And that's really it. Like the stuff you're taught at like under 10s, you know?
Yeah, control what you can control, big time. Like something I
Yeah,
noticed as well was the fitness levels of New York. Like in previous years, because of lack of games, maybe you don't have National League games, you know, other teams are coming in off the back of that. So they sometimes will be fitter, more prepared, and that's just because of lack of game time. That wasn't the case with this New York team. Like in that second half, the fitness levels were, you know, matching them. And then in the extra time, I thought New York looked fitter.
yeah. No, like I don't know. I would say honestly, like even from experiences with down at the very end, like nowadays county players are in absolutely ridiculous shape. Like it's not even wise. Like even when we were lining out against Leitrim, like nobody on their team was carrying 5 extra pounds or anything as well. You know what I mean? Like
No.
everybody is trim. But yeah, like in our team, there is some lads that are just ridiculous fitness. And we kind of knew that we would be as fit as them, if you get me. But again, like the game started, they were zipping the ball around, like you could tell, they've played it together a few times. They went 3 points up, like that was kind of evident that they've been and done this kind of thing before. So it took us a while to kind of find our feet, but I think we knew that like fitness wouldn't be an issue. But again, I would say that would have been a lot of county teams. Like again, even watching a lot of county football on TV, like everybody's in everybody's in pretty ridiculous nick. Like
Again, go back to the mindset thing. I think that is a mindset of a lot of sort of young people nowadays. You sort of eat well anyway, you sort of look after yourself anyways. And isn't it Johnny Glynn and Johnny McGeeney? Do they have a recovery room and stuff like that
yeah,
together?
yeah, yeah, they have a
Yeah.
recovery room now, and it's just north of the Bronx, or like just north of Woodlawn. But yeah,
Hmm.
like you're right, like fitness has kind of taken off maybe in the last 10 years in society as a whole. But again, it's kind of like obviously like GAA and like team sports in general are kind of like a copycat kind of league, if you get me. Whereas like if something works for one team, it's probably going to be replicated by a lot of other teams. And like obviously then I know myself, like you had like Armagh, like in the mid 2000s, like their fitness was unreal. And then you had Donegal, fitness was unbelievable. It was working for them. So then when they take it to the next level, that has to become the baseline for everybody else. So then
Hmm.
it has just kind of skyrocketed now, where like me and some of the lads do joke that like you look around the change room, like, and you're just like, we have, in years gone by, you might have been having one or two players that were maybe carrying a bit too much or whatever, like, or even coming back from winter, but like now it's just like, it's not wise.
Yeah. And just about the game again. So like about 15, 20 minutes gone, that was when I felt that New York sort of got to grips with it, especially in the midfield. Like for your kickouts, like Gavin O'Brien, Johnny Glynn, like they were immense in midfield. And that was one of the winnings of the game. I felt that they really started to control that.
Yeah, no, like they're two unbelievable players, like, and we do have some good hands around the middle, like, but again, I think like it'd be maybe wrong to just single them two out, because it is kind of a team effort, like boys putting their neck on the line for breaks and stuff like that. And like,
Of course.
yeah, like as you said though, like after the first 15 minutes, we kind of got the grips with like the speed that Leitrim were playing with. And then once we did that, like, yeah, I think we sort of settled a lot more then. I think we kicked 3 points on the bounce. But yeah, like with kickouts and stuff, like they're two great assets to have, to just be able to ping the ball to them. But again, like if something that worked for us in the last game may not work in the next game, like, so we always need to be creative with stuff like that. So that's why I don't like to give too much away about kickouts and stuff.
Keep tight lipped.
Yeah, yeah.
And just to talk about the penalties then, was that something that you'd practiced going into the game? Like, did New York speak about this at all? That look, lads, it could come down to penalties.
No, not really, no. Like we never, I think it was mentioned once, and we did like a bit of a penalty shootout at the end of training. We did that once, and that was like, but again, like that was, me just slobbering to everyone taking a penalty, and then them trying to like them trying to, dink it down the middle, and it was more like a fun thing. So it wasn't really like, oh, this is a potential possibility. But again, like I had experience with penalties talking about that Sligo game, if I want to bring it up, still hurts. But I played soccer as well then over here. I was involved in one or two of them there as well. So like I'll always be confident that, like, you know, in my own ability or whatever. But again, like it's unreal. It's one thing doing penalties and like training, and then it's another thing when it's like the winning or losing of the game, you know what I mean? So it is a bit of a lottery, like, and luckily we came out on top, you know.
Do you like penalties?
I don't mind them. Like, I think it's win-win for the goalkeeper, like, because the players maybe meant to score, you know what I mean? So like if you make a save, then you know you look great. But yeah, I don't, and like as I say, I think it's win-win. So there's kind of no pressure on the goalkeeper, you know.
And what was the referee David Goldrick saying to you at one stage? I don't know if he was saying, was it stay off this, don't come forward on the line? And I noticed you stepped back, or I don't know, what did, was he saying something to you? We couldn't hear watching on the telly, but I could see him chatting to you a few times.
Yeah, yeah. No, he was just like you can't. He just kept reiterating that you can't really come off your line until the
Mm-hmm.
ball's kicked. But then I was just saying, like, you know, you're taught your whole life to move towards the ball as a keeper, if you get me, like the narrow angles and stuff, like even for any sort of shot stopping drills. But
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, it's gonna be a natural instinct anyway. And then he was like, okay, fine, and just stand behind the line. You know what I mean? So that's what I did for.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
But
you kept a clean sheet. Like that's very rare in a
yeah,
penalty shootout.
yeah, I know. But obviously it was help with them two ones. The boy hit the bar and the post then. But yeah, like I guess like the last few penalties are even maybe harder than the first few because, you know, obviously people understand what's at stake a lot more. So like we were obviously rode our luck like throughout the game. And yeah, like thankfully we came out the right side of it.
Yeah, what was it like for you the moment that Mikey Brosnan put the ball in the back of the net and that was that?
Yeah, I was unreal. I literally like I don't know, I just turned around and there was like a lot of our defenders and all were like just running towards me, and then there was nearly like a rugby tackle and then a full pylon, and then yeah, and then you get up, and that's when, like, you know, you're pulled here, there, and everywhere because there's like owl boys who are just like can't believe it and like just hugging you, getting hugged from like everybody, and I was mad, like, but it was unreal to be a part of that, like, and I've kind of said this in the past as well, you know, like I'm very lucky to have been a part of that. I'm very lucky to even play for like New York, even play for Down. Like, you know, the jersey's only lent to you, and there's always like, you know, people breathing down your neck, and there's always good people in competition. Like I know with New York, like last year we had like Vinny Cadden and Brandy Cole and myself for keeper, like, and
Mhm.
three unreal keepers, like, you know what I mean? So it's like you're lucky if you get the nod, if in the first place, and then you're lucky to just again to be playing. And that's what I try to sometimes remember. Like, you know, is you're really lucky to be involved in this without even the result. And then obviously, yeah, like getting the win was made it infinitely sweeter. Like, but again, like going back to the community thing, like Vinny Cadden was one of the first guys on the pitch and he's running over and giving you a big hug and stuff. You know what I mean? Whereas like I don't know if you would get that in other county teams, like genuinely delighted that, you
Yeah.
know, New York got over the line.
And what are the preparations like now? I suppose you weren't even thinking of going home in a week's time. I'm sure that wasn't really in your heads. You sort of were playing the game and see what happens. So logistically and all of that, things have to be prepared. So what is that like at the minute?
It's actually not too bad. Like we have a good background team with the management, and like on Monday afternoon, I think everything was sorted. So like we're going home next week, obviously for this game. And then yeah, preparation is just we'll be training on grass because the game's on grass, not like Gaelic Park's on Astro. Um, but yeah, like again, me personally, I'm just looking forward to it. Like again, like it's like you train all the time for games like this. So like it's
Mhm.
something to be embraced, something to be enjoyed, and I'll just do the same thing, like try and play it play by play and enjoy it as much as I possibly can.
And what day do you get home then?
I'm coming back on Sunday. So or we get home Wednesday evening and then I'm coming back to New York Sunday.
Okay, very good. And is there Castlewellan and Down one's going to be going to Markovich Park?
Oh yeah, my old pair definitely be going, and then I'd say a few friends be going as well. We should have a good old support, I would think. More so for the fact that like obviously a lot of people come and go in New York GAA circles, even with the county team. Like there's normally high turnover, like maybe lads go back home or settle down and stuff. So
Mm.
I know a number of people are flying over for it from here, like supporters. And I'm sure like even last year in Offaly, we had a lot of people that like, maybe played for New York in years gone by or stuff like that. And they'll definitely be there as well, I would say.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'd say there would be a really big support because there's so many people who have such an affiliation with New York, whether it was gone out there and played in one of the club teams or so many of the players that would have played in the past. So I'm sure you'll see a lot of familiar faces come Saturday next week.
Yeah, hopefully, like, oh, what an occasion it's going to be, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And again, yeah, I can't wait for it. It's something to be embraced, as I've said maybe a number of times.
Amazing. And is everybody able to go? Like, can they get off work, visa, all that stuff? Everyone can travel?
Yeah, everybody's. I think we're
That's
full. We have
unreal.
a full panel to pick from, like, so which is great. And yeah, like work is the only one kind of for me, but I have to do a few hours on Thursday and Friday, and then yeah, all set for Saturday.
Sure, you're your own boss. You can get away with that, Mick.
Nah, I know, but sure, if I don't do it, no one else does.
Very good. Well, Mick, thanks so much for taking the time to speak to me. Wish you all the best next week. And yeah, we can't wait to see the result.
Yeah, no, thanks very much for having me.
I'm delighted to be joined by New York manager Johnny McGeeney. How's things, Johnny? Have the celebrations calmed down at this point?
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, celebrations went on for probably Wednesday, a bit too long maybe. We were hoping to get back on Tuesday, but I think we're regrouping the night, so it's Friday lunchtime, so they should be ready to go tonight.
Oh, brilliant. But I suppose it's important to enjoy this. It's a historic moment, first time ever happening for New York. So, you definitely should go out and enjoy it.
100%. Yeah, I personally I never dreamt we'd get this far. When I took the job, so we're in bonus territory. So whatever happens from here on in, we're happy out.
And talk to me just about the game itself. I might just chat first about Gaelic Park, the amount of people that were there. Like I was watching it on TV and it just looked unbelievable. There was people just crammed in, really. Everybody just wanted to get in to see this game, and it was under lights and the whole lot. So yeah, it looked incredible. What was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere was savage, but I thought the longer the game went on, there was more people coming in, and not just it was madness. Like I've never seen a crowd like it before, and I've been at many a game, and Saturday night now was something to remember.
And throughout the game, then you were level over 18 times, I think it was. You're up a point at half time. So what was the feeling then? Very much that you're in this game, that you can go on and win it.
Yeah. Well, I always thought we would be in the game, but it was just important not to let if they did get a goal chance. Usually, in days gone by, you would concede them goals, and there would be a bit of a gap after 20 minutes. So I know at the start 15 minutes we were 3 down, and a lot of people were probably thinking, is this going to be the same old same? Yeah, but there's a great resilience with the team and belief and togetherness. And once we started cracking over a couple of points, I knew this was going to go to the wire.
Yeah, about 15, 20 minutes in, you really started to find your own in the midfield area in particular. I thought, Johnny and Gavin, they really started to win ball, and that was probably a big turning point as well.
Yeah, well, I think we tried to make them go long because we knew, like, Johnny Glynn, he's renowned for his hurling, but if you put that man in the middle and you get them to force the kick to the middle, he's going to get something on it. So it's all about the breaking ball. I don't know, did we contest it that great in the first 2 or 3 times, but after 15 minutes we definitely got the grip with it and we started getting that breaking ball that helped us a lot.
Just how influential is Johnny? Like I'd heard that he had a bit of a hamstring problem going into the game or up to the game, and I wasn't sure what he was going to be like. Is it true or not true?
Well, listen, I know Johnny Glynn well, and even if the hamstring isn't great, he's still playing. He will do everything. Like, in training one night, you know, he pulled out, and I done all I could to try and get him an MRI. You know, you have to get a ladder or whatever. He was gone, and he had the MRI the next day. You know, that's him. That's the man he is. He wants to get something sorted, he'll get it sorted. You know, so he'll be ready to go come Saturday next week as well.
Okay, because he did come off injured. I don't know, he went down, I don't know if it was knee or something like that, but he's all good.
Yeah, well, listen, if he told me Sunday morning when we met for a coffee, he's all good. So I'm taking his word for it.
Amazing, good stuff. And so then the rest of the game, it was wild, it was highly entertaining. It really just had everything, obviously leveled that many times throughout the game, and then into extra time. What were you thinking on the sideline? Like, that must have been heartache stuff when you're watching on at constantly level and going to extra time and the whole lot.
Yeah, well, when it was in extra time, Gareth Bailey and Johnny and Varley were shouting, "Oh, we need 5 lads to take penalties." And I was that lost in the game. I was like, why do we need penalties? We're playing down. But it was a draw game. You know, so that's how far gone I was with it on the bench. And then we actually took off a sub, and by the time it was Chinese whispers, by the time it went from me down to Bino, the wrong man come off, you know, so you can probably hear it on the sideline. But listen, it all worked out well. The man that stayed on set up the last point, so it was written in the stars, you could say.
And I was speaking with Mick Cunningham just before I came on to speak to you, and I was saying that one of the things that I noticed that's maybe different to other New York teams was that, especially in that second half, like the fitness levels, they matched Leitrim, and really in the end, in the extra time as well, you know, they weren't cramping up as much or anything like that. So they're very, very fit team. And like, that's what having no National League games. And that was something in the past as well that sort of hindered a New York team. But yeah, not this New York team. They seemed extremely fit.
Yeah, well, see, I think I always found when I was playing with New York, our downfall was, you know, we cut the panel down to 26 straight away, you know, and then you had small-sided games and everything. When we started last year, we kept the panel. We actually left it an open panel, so there could have been 60 boys training at one stage. So it meant we were getting 2 games in the one day, you know. So we kept, there's 43 there at the minute, and we get a game every weekend, and we just treated that as a league game, because you're never going to get it. And I hear people talking now on a podcast about, you know, going to have to get New York into the National League. I don't know what New York could do if they're in the National League. So we can't go home like this. We just want this, you know, the Connacht game, or if we get one game, like the Tailteann Cup is ideal for us, you know. So we're not looking National League games. If I told my wife I was going to go home 3 or 4 times before a championship game, I know what I'd be told. You know, so it's not feasible for the county either, like, you know. But we do definitely need to try and hold on to this Connacht Championship, or let it be a Tailteann Cup out here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the homegrown players is probably the big difference over the last number of years. You're always sort of relying on lads coming out, and hopefully they'll stay on, and, you know, they'll play for the year. But at this point, you know, you've so many homegrown players, and 3 of them started. There was about 14, I think, on the panel. So, you know, that's incredible to have so many.
Yeah, well, I believe every American club has their one of the boys representing them, you know. So I think we're all covered that way. It probably come into fruition when COVID was probably a big thing, with the likes of Barnabas, Rangers and Rockland, you know, Shannon Gales, all the local teams that kept all the players, and that only helped them, you know, grow as a county. So listen, I think the next few years, if we just keep at it, it is going to be hard for the next couple of years again. We don't know if Mayo will be coming out next year or what way it's going to work. But if we keep doing the work that's been done at underage level, there's people I see there, like, I know we're all getting the credit for it now, but the people that went before us, the people that's doing the groundworks with the fail, like, we've some serious failure teams. They're doing U17 development. We've a junior team going home this year. Like, if we keep at it, we will see it even more. But you do need the Irish lads to come in and give that bit of, you know, belief and know-how and experience.
What did it mean to so many of those New York people that have been involved for so long? You know, did you see some of them on the pitch after the game?
Yeah, so after the game, it was a complete explore. Like I actually ran. I wanted to see my wife and kids because I know what she goes through listening to me about football, and so when I seen them, and then my brother who I have to actually give a shout out, he actually got his purple belt in jiu-jitsu on Saturday, and I went to the ceremony, and I was actually late going back to the team meeting. It was overshadowed because of New York, and I was saying it to him. We went for dinner Sunday, and he was bawling on the pitch, and I've never seen an emotion like that from him. Like it just meant so much to him, because the first game I ever seen New York was they played Galway, and Johnny Murta was playing, and Joe Kernan was over Galway, and then there was the O'Connor brothers, and a brother of mine was playing too, and it was just mental. The atmosphere was mental, and I just always knew I wanted to be a part of this. Like, I couldn't understand how a group of lads from New York were playing in a big game. Like, so it's unreal. It was an unreal weekend.
What does it feel like to be the first manager to have went and done it?
Listen, it could have been anyone. I honestly think with the timing and all. When Joan asked me to do it, I turned it down. I said I'm not. It's too early, because I'd be more involved with the development of the Irish American kids. And she said it to me, and I said, I can't, Joan, I can't. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And I went to a meeting. One night, and she announced me as New York manager. And that's.
So you never said yeah?
No, I didn't accept it, and she announced it in front of people, and I had people coming up congratulating me, laughing, and you know what? I was very annoyed, but then I said it was COVID and everything, and there was a weird place back here, and it was just seemed like the right opportunity. You know what? Just give these boys a couple of years. Well, it was meant to be 1 year, and then I sat down with Johnny Glenn, I sat down with Alan Campbell. All the boys that that if they listen to what we're trying to do and back you, and then I suppose you get your backroom team. I think the backroom team we got was brilliant. It's there's some boys there, and they're just pure crack. They just keep you on your toes, and you have to give a big shout out to Gareth Bailey, who won an All Ireland down. He's the cool guy around the camp. He's nice to everybody. So me and Joan actually don't interact. We go through Gareth, because sometimes Joan would be shouting at me, or I'd be shouting at her. So we got Gareth's the peacemaker now. So but yeah, everything worked out well.
Absolutely, yeah. I was delighted for Joan Henchy. Like, she's done a lot over there in New York, especially for the development and the homegrown players. So it was nice to see so many of them involved as well. But even when you looked at the panel, like, I didn't hear a lot about New York coming into the game, and I would know quite a lot of people over there. I still didn't hear too much about it. And then when I seen the panel and the different players that were playing that I was aware of, from you had Gavin O'Brien from Kerry, obviously Johnny Glenn. So I thought, geez, this is a really strong team. Mick Cunningham in goals, he would have played for Down. It's, there's experience all over the pitch. Shane Carthy would have played for Dublin. So I knew going in, geez, they have a real opportunity here. Is that what it felt like amongst the camp before the game?
100%. I've never met a crowd of lads as confident. Even it was Rob Wharton, and he's only in this year, and he was like, we're going to win this game. And I was sitting in the back of my head going, we're playing here 23 years, and this boy's coming in with this confidence, and listen, it was great to see, because even against Sligo last year, like, I was, you want to stay in the game, which you do, going back home now is going to be completely different. But if you break it down, like, Leitrim coming out here to play at 11 o'clock at night, and everything was going against them. And then if they had got the breakthrough goals, the game would have been over. But it just, whatever it was, the boys stuck at it. The belief was there. Shane Carty's brought his cockiness. He brings great energy, like, and his enthusiasm is second to none. And then like I mentioned, Rob O'Cairn, Varley. I don't know if you've met him, Varley, but he's probably the most positive man I've ever spoke to in my life. He just, everything is positive. We were doing the warm up before the game, and we do a star drill, and you have 3 or 4 balls, and the first 3 or 4 balls went away over the next man's head, and I was going to Gareth, we need to get the nervousness out. And then Farley come into the circle, and he turned around and he said, that is the best warm up I've ever seen. And I just looked again, I said, this man's on another planet. But he had all the boys ready for it, you know. It was just, it was mad. He's mad, but I rang him on Thanksgiving because there was word that he was coming back to Galway, which he's well fit to play for Galway. He is such a talent. And I got wind that he was going to be invited back in. And then Thanksgiving came around and I just said, you know what, I'll give him a call. And I rang him at Thanksgiving and just wished him happy Thanksgiving and I'll see you next year. And then he rang me 3 or 4 weeks later and said, listen, I'm coming out after New Year. So I knew when I had him on board, I said, we're going to build something here. And nobody knew about it. You know, we kept everything in-house. We tried to just keep it, went about our business, the 43 lads or whatever we had, and just the likes of them boys.
So was he at home at that point or he'd moved over there when you rang him?
So he moved over last year.
Okay.
He was playing with Mayo out here and he played last year. But then his visa, there was something about the visa, you know, they're not that easy got anymore, or the expense of them. So I think he just got fed up and I think he wanted to go home and play with his club. That's the one thing he missed, was playing with his club. So he just decided to pack it in and went home and played with the club. And I just said to him, listen, if you know, if it's an option and Galway don't come calling, this was probably a week after Galway beat Armagh, you know, so I was ringing him anyway to see. I said, listen, if they don't come calling, will you think of us? And he said that he would. So just delighted that we have him.
Yeah, and you do. You really need all of those players, especially with the experience of home as well. I must mention as well, give a shout out to Conal Ahern. He would be a club mate of mine. He came off the bench and made a really big impact, 4 points. He just was lightning when he came on, and as you said, probably a little bit of that cockiness that you probably need at that point.
Yeah. After the game, he was trying to tell everyone he was the most decorated forward in New York. So you know, he doesn't lack confidence, but he's a nice left peg, and I'm gonna tell him it's getting close to mine. I said it's not there yet, but it's coming close. You know, he's a great lad to have around. Like, he's just Conal can talk, but you know, on Saturday he definitely walked the walk. So you have to give him his credit for sure.
And Johnny, you would have played with New York. You would have been a part of those panels. You know, to be a part of all of that, and then to be on the sideline watching on and actually seeing them win, it must have been surreal, probably moment for you. It was mental. We always spoke about, just think about, you know, the 30 seconds after the whistle if you win. And I couldn't watch the penalties because I was bet, but when that whistle went, I never experienced it. I've never experienced what I felt after that. I think it's just relief, and you know, I don't know how the managers do it at home with the stress, and all we have is one game. I don't know how to do it week in, week out, because when the football's over, I shut off from football from Monday. When it comes 7 o'clock on a Tuesday, I'll worry about football, but I don't know how to do it week in, week out. You know, talking to media, doing all. I don't know how to do it. I just stress levels through the roof. And for the penalties then, had you planned who would take the penalties before the game? Is it something you've even talked about?
So on the Thursday night or the Tuesday night, boys were like, oh, we don't want to be, I'd be all for, you know, hard ball drills, getting them ready. And they were like, oh, we're a bit sore. So we sat down and we took penalties. And we just sat down because the boys were sore. And I'd say every one of the boys scored a penalty. And Mickey saved none. And then it was the opposite. It was the opposite come the game, you know. But I knew when Mikey Brosnan was taking it that he wasn't going to miss, because he's that laid back. He's horizontal. He's just cat, like he's just comes late to train and walks with just a sleepy head in him. And I just knew that he put it away, you know.
And you didn't watch it?
No.
Didn't watch any of them?
None of them.
Oh my God. So who told you, or was it just the reaction of the crowd?
Would you believe there was I don't know if it was Marty Duffy or who it was. He was with the Connacht Council anyway. And he came over and shook my hand and said, congratulations. And Mike Brosnan was walking up to take the penalty. And I was like, what do you mean? He's going to score that. I was shaking this man's hand before Mike Brosnan took the penalty. That's how, you know, listen, it's
tempting fate.
Horrible. Yeah, it's a horrible way to lose. And
yeah,
You know, I hate the disrespect that Leitrim were getting on social media. That's why I try and not be a part of it. But I just hate people disrespecting a team that's coming out 3,000 miles, you know, wearing the county colours, and then you have some knob end on the other end of the lane telling them they're useless. And I don't get it. I don't get it.
No, not at all. And they came up against a brilliant New York team. Like, I was looking at the New York team thinking, is this one of the best New York teams that we've seen? You know, in terms of the homegrown mix in that midfield of Gavin and Johnny, Mick and goals. We've mentioned so many of them. Like, it's probably one of the toughest New York teams to face.
100%, 100%, and that was my thing. Like, we done the stats on it. We actually have there's a lot of backroom team, and they're asking, you know, will I do stats in this and whatever? And I say, do whatever you want, like, because I'm not big into stats. I want to enjoy the football. Just go out and you know what you can do. Just do it, and do it with a bit of passion and heart. But we had stats, and we actually had more championship games as you know, players on our team than they did, and we had more Munster medals, you know, All Ireland medals than they did. They were coming to our pitch. So, you know, why I don't see. I can understand why we were down the dog, because we don't have challenge games. But on paper, we had as good as team as they had.
Yeah. Just on the challenge games, did you have any game at all, or was it just amongst yourselves?
We had A versus B. So if you were on the A team, you were on the first 15. So the lads that were on the B team were jogging it out, like they were taking lumps out of the boys. You know, and the actual last game we had of A versus B, the B team won 11-3.
Jeez.
And that was a week before the game.
Yeah, they're trying to put their hands up for places.
Yeah, and we were sitting here going, Jesus, you know. And that was probably one of the boys out of the 20 that wasn't in the 26 scored 3 points that game too. And you know, you're telling them you're not making it, you know, because too little, too late, or whatever. But listen, it definitely. Only for we had the 40 squad, 43 plus squad, we wouldn't have done it. That's a fact.
And then looking ahead then to 22nd April, just over a week's time now, you're going to be at home facing Sligo in Markovich Park, the Connacht semi-final. How much are you looking forward to that? And how is preparation going, and logistically planning everything, flights, and can everyone travel and all of that?
Yeah, I think 40 of us is going, and then the management, and then the half of Woodlawn's coming as well, which is great to see. The logistics of it is mental. Like, it's trying to get stuff ready, flights done, and you know, you're ringing a couple of businesses saying, listen, will you pay for a few flights? Because well, no matter what happens on next week, we still go back again, whether it be in the Tailteann Cup, or if I don't even want to talk about Connacht final, because if that's the case, then you're into that. I don't even want to talk about that, because
But it's a possibility,
I don't know.
Johnny. It could be in a Connacht final.
It's a possibility for sure, because we have the boys. But I think that anyone that's over here on the York team, we're over here to work. You know, so if you try and turn around and tell someone that, I'm going home 3 weeks out of 4 or something, I don't know. I will worry about that when it comes, but just listen. Hopefully we represent our county, our clubs, and everything well next week, and hopefully, you know, stay in the game. You know, I don't want to be like awfully there. We were gone after 10 minutes because we weren't used to the wind, the rain, the grass pitches. So we'll try and stay in the game, and then whatever happens, anything that happens here is bonus territory. So we'll definitely give it a go. We'll regroup in the night. We'll see who's sore, who's what. Get to 26 named on Tuesday, and then we board a flight on Wednesday, and we head to Bundoran, I believe we're going.
Very good.
So I believe Markovich Park have given us the pitch for 30 minutes. I don't know what we're going to do in 30 minutes, but you know, I wish they'd give us something longer. You know, we are travelling, like day travelling. You know, we give, but at Gaelic Park does be given to the teams here for however long they want it, you know. But I understand the pitches, you know, they have to be kept because they're grass and the weather, but you know, I'd like to think that we get more than 30 minutes on a pitch for the boys to run about or whatever, you know.
When is the 30 minutes? Is it the day before or a few days before?
I believe we're allowed on the Thursday, so the day we land.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so you're not going to get
Mhm.
too much. As I said, Mike Brosnan, he comes late, so by the time 30 minutes is up, he's probably only tying his boots. So
Yeah, you'll need to get him there half an hour early, tell him the wrong
yeah,
time. And so then in Bundoran, will you get any training in there? Are you training at a club there, or how's that working for you?
I believe Bundoran have reached out to us and said that the facility is there if we want to use it. And then I think there's we're staying in the Great Northern, so I
Very
think
good.
it has a beach beside it and that. So listen, we won't be doing too much because
Mm-hmm.
boys, I'm sure, will be jet lagged and the whole lot. So we'll do whatever training we need now on Sunday and then get ready to go on the Wednesday.
And at this moment, everyone can travel in terms of visas, work, everything like that.
Yeah. I hopefully I don't be getting the call this evening saying listen like this, but I think so. I think everyone's excited. Like usually you only bring 26 back, 3 boys that won us that game, so it's all or none. So County Board, in fairness to Joan and Claire and Seamus, like this year, after from all years they've backed us. We met with them in January, and we just sort of seen like a list of stuff that we thought went wrong last year. Just simple stuff with only getting gear for 26 players, where we're keeping 40, and off the bat, they 100% anything they said that they were going to do, they done. So we have to thank them for that.
Brilliant, Johnny. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me. We wish you all the best now next Saturday. Yeah, and hopefully New York can go on and get the win and be in the Connacht final. Wouldn't that be great, Johnny?
Would it, Aisling? Would it? Don't bother. Thanks very much.